What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Beneath the Waves YouTube channel. I'm Jamie, our managing director, and I'm here with Brendan Shae, one of our research associates. If you guys have been following us for the last couple of years, you've seen Brendan and I on our other social media platforms, but this one is an exclusive to our YouTube channel. So I'm saying the thing: subscribe, like it, comment, hit that bell for notifications. Media team, I got you on that. I've been briefed. We are here to talk about some of our latest science from Beneath the Waves that Brendan has headed up. So Brendan published our first research paper of 2022. Really exciting, go B. And he's here to tell you guys all about it. So we're doing a deep dive on our latest output about our blue shark research up in New England. And Brendan, I will let you take it away.
Great, awesome. Thank you so much, Jamie. Super excited to be back on the Beneath the Waves channels, talking with you all about our exciting research. This was a really fun paper for me to be a part of because it was again based up in New England, which is where I'm from, where you're from, Jamie, where so much of our Beneath the Waves team is actually from originally. And as a lot of you know, we've been working in the area for quite some time now. We've been really fortunate to, in that work, partner up with some really great collaborators up there, some of which are fishermen, recreational fishermen, charter fishermen, commercial fishermen. And one of the things that we kept on hearing from all of our partners up there, as well as seeing ourselves on the water, was that there are a lot of blue sharks and they're being really, really commonly encountered as bycatch, specifically in the tuna fishery. So for people who don't know, there's a pretty big tuna fishery off of Cape Cod in New England, mostly for bluefin tuna. And people go out there and they do that recreationally, with rod and reel. And also the commercial fishery for bluefin in this area is also largely on rod and reel. So blue sharks are really being captured quite a bit on rod and reel, and we actually just didn't know that much about what that process entails for them in terms of, does it stress them out? Does it tire them out? Could it be unhealthy for them in any way? So we really wanted to look at that. There's been work done in the past where people have looked at similar questions with blue sharks, but they've always kind of focused on more of the commercial side of things. When I say commercial, I mean big industrial commercial, like long liners, and trying to understand what it's like when the blue shark's stuck on a long line for 8, 9, 10 hours. But really wanted to look at this kind of subset of interactions between fishers and blue sharks, which is this recreational rod and reel interaction. And is that actually potentially harmful to blue sharks at all? To do it, we just kind of got out there and did our Beneath the Waves thing. We love being on the water. We love looking for these animals and working with them. So we spent the summer of 2019 with a absolutely awesome group of scientists out in the water, continuing our collaboration with Northeastern University and the 3Cs program, which I'm an alumni of. Shout out, of course. We had 4 great scientists from 3Cs, some great helpers from Thayer Academy as well, who's obviously been a great supporter for us in the region. So we headed out on the water off of Cape Cod and we started looking for blue sharks. And what we really wanted to do was kind of simulate and recreate those conditions that blue sharks are caught by anglers looking for tuna. Mm-hmm. So we used big stand-up fishing rods on the side of boats and hung baits out there. And so we were really interested in trying to understand if the amount of time that a shark is actually on the line, if that would be in any way correlated or associated with the amount of physiological stress that animal is experiencing. If you're fighting a shark for longer, is that going to negatively impact that shark in some way? Mm-hmm. So what we did is we actually had a timer on the boat, and as soon as the shark took the bait, we started that timer. And we kept the timer running as we worked the shark all the way to the boat on the rod and reel. As we brought it up alongside the boat, we secured it with ropes, and we kept that timer running all the way until we were able to collect a blood sample. We take that blood sample out of the tail of the shark. You've probably seen videos of us doing that on Instagram and YouTube, things like that. And with that blood, we're actually able to look at certain concentrations of different what we call blood-based biomarkers, or just different molecules and compounds that are in the blood to understand if that shark has been stressed out by this capture process. Now, some of those things that we look at are really common. You've heard of before. They're in us as humans as well: glucose, lactate. These are molecules that get produced when we work really, really hard and we exhaust ourselves. We'll see concentrations of these blood-based biomarkers go up. So it makes a really good proxy to understand if that process of fighting the shark on the line is really tiring it out. We also looked at other things like blood pH, potassium, calcium. And these are all things that we can use to understand how that process might be affecting the actual internal physiology of the shark that's being exhausted. Really interesting for us is what we found is that it really did not. It's not always the flashiest thing to say, we didn't find anything notable here, anything statistically significant. But this is actually really important to understand when we have null results as well. One of the really interesting things we found when we were looking at blood glucose was that smaller sharks were actually associated with higher levels of blood glucose than larger sharks. Now, this could mean a couple of things. One, it could mean that smaller sharks are actually being stressed out more by that act of being captured. The time on the line is more stressful to them because they're smaller and have to work harder. And as a result, we see this increase in blood glucose. But it's really important that we consider all the different potential drivers for trends we see like this. And one of the things that's really hard when we look at physiology, especially in sharks, is knowing what baseline levels are. What is it like in a completely unstressed situation? In this example, we can't rule out the idea that maybe perhaps blue sharks are just eating different food, and that different food is maybe more rich in things like carbohydrates that would result in higher levels of blood glucose. So while we can't conclusively say that smaller sharks are going to be stressed out more by the capture process than larger sharks, it's definitely something we want to take note of to help direct further research in the future. Another thing we noticed during our analysis was when we were looking at the lactate levels. Now, lactate, again, is something that we expect to go up as an animal gets more tired. So if the time on the line was truly increasingly stressful for these sharks, we would expect that as the hook times got longer, the lactate would go up. And this was true, but it wasn't what we call statistically significant. We can't just rule out the idea that this just happened by chance, but it is nearly significant. We can see this pattern where the longer the shark is on the line, the higher the blood lactate is. Now, this is important, even though it's not quite significant. We did want to call it out in the paper for a couple reasons. One, there is some previous research into this response of blue sharks to capture, and lactate has been shown to be the best predictor of mortality after release in sharks that are caught on long lines. So we know that lactate is a great predictor. So the fact that we see this nearly significant trend is definitely something that, again, we would want to flag for potential future research. There's also been a little bit of capture stress work in the past, and some of those previous studies have seen that relationship where longer hook times lead to increased lactate. So put together, all of our work and the previous work would suggest to us that anglers should really be encouraged to keep those hook times small. In our study, we didn't want to drag out these hook times. We weren't trying to assess the potential risk of mortality. Really don't want to kill any sharks ever. But we did still see, even within a half-hour time frame, this idea that perhaps longer hook times could start to stress them out. So we would really encourage anglers who encounter sharks as bycatch, whether fishing for tuna, or anglers who are targeting sharks directly in a catch and release setting, to really minimize that hook time and not try to play the fish on the line, but really bring it to the boat quickly, because our research shows that they're actually pretty robust to that under short time frames. So altogether, we're really excited about these findings and how we can kind of implement them and communicate them to people who are participating in this fishery. So if I had to give a couple of kind of general takeaways from this work, I would list them as this. One, I definitely would encourage any anglers who are encountering blue sharks to really minimize that hook time. The longer a shark is on the line, our research would suggest that might increase the chance of potential negative effects, whereas it really strongly supports the idea that under short hook times, the sharks are going to be able to withstand the physiological stress of capture quite well and are really robust to it. Two, kind of within the same angler approach vein, really comes down to gear selection and how you handle that fish. So we would really encourage that anglers use circle hooks when they're targeting sharks specifically. Circle hooks are great for all species of fish, but really for sharks as well, because what we've shown here is that the actual act of fighting on the line isn't really harmful to the blue sharks, but we do know that hooking injuries can be harmful. So we would really strongly support the use of circle hooks that minimize the risk of gut hooking, foul hooking, anything like that. Because if sharks are hooked well, we show here that they really can withstand that catch and release fishing very well. And finally, I think just from a management standpoint, it's important to realize that shark fishing is increasing in popularity. And actually, there's research that's been done that shows that people who participate in shark fishing are associated with positive attitudes towards conservation. That act of interacting with these animals can really engender positive conservation attitudes. So there is a possible opportunity for conservation here within this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really important that as the shark fishing increases, we understand on a species-specific basis what kind of species are species that are appropriate for catching and release fishery, that are able to kind of withstand the stress of being caught. And we show here that blue sharks would be a great candidate for that in the Northwest Atlantic. So I think it's really exciting for us to be able to work in our backyard like this and learn about something that is so common and so prevalent in the area, and really, really happy to be able to share it with everybody else as well.
Yeah, thanks, Brendan. And, adding on to that too, I think it's so cool. You touched on this earlier, that this was such a beneath the waves effort, right? Where we're going out in our backyard, we're working with scientists, we're working with young students, and we're also working with people that we know just from the fishing community, right? We're working with people like Elliot Sudol, who is an incredible, shark fisherman turned advocate for shark conservation. And those are the kind of stories that we want to continue to see. And if publications like this and work like this can keep making that happen, then I think we're definitely doing something right. So glad that you were able to join us today, Brendan. Glad that everybody watching was able to join us. Hope you guys learned something. If you have any more questions, drop them in the comments below, or reach out to us over Instagram or other socials. We're always active. And again, make sure you're subscribed. Like this if you liked it, comment if you've got anything else to say, and hit that notification bell, that's the word, so that you never miss a new drop from us. We're going to be coming back to you every week with something or another from Beneath the Waves. So that's it for me. Thanks, guys.